Good morning, everybody. It's Steph. This month, we're talking about employment-related issues. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you this morning is how to create an objective way to evaluate not just how your new employees are doing, but how all of your employees are doing. So last week, we talked about how to onboard new employees. This week, we're going to talk about how to evaluate all of them. So let me share my screen really quick with you here. All right. Core values are those principles that you want your company to represent and to be known for. And the process that I go through with my clients, and this is an example of something that I did recently with a client, is to try and identify those 5 areas that that really are like the pillars of your business philosophy, how you want everyone to interact with one another, how you want people to interact with your clientele. So this particular client identified what it means to be professional, what it means to have good character, what it means to be passionate about your work, what it means to have a positive attitude, and what it means to be knowledgeable. And we kind of described underneath that and elaborated on that. And then what you do, this is an idea that I got out of a book that a client gave me years ago, is you have plus, minus, and minus. You have 3 ways to evaluate this person. So plus is the employee consistently upholds that particular value. Doesn't mean that they're perfect, doesn't mean that they do it 100% of the time. Everyone has their days. But by and large, this employee is consistently professional as you've described it, or they have good character or what have you. So you would put their name here, and then you would put, if they consistently uphold that, you would give them a plus under professional. Now, let's say under good character, they're pretty responsible, they're honest, they're not always very dependable. Maybe they don't always see things through, and they might cut some corners. So they kind of meet the criteria, but there's some inconsistency there, and there's definitely some room for improvement. You would give them a plus minus on that one. Then if you came over here to passionate, whether they have drive, they have a strong work ethic, self-motivated, self-accountable. Let's say they consistently don't demonstrate these qualities, and that's something that's really important for an employee to possess if they work for you. Then you give them a minus, okay? So I'm giving you a very quick down and dirty example of how this works, but here's the advantage. Number 1, if you have core values identified, you can share those with people as part of your interview process. Number 2, when it comes time to evaluate them, you have very objective criteria that you can use for you to get feedback and for them to self-evaluate. So, you know, their name can go somewhere up here, and whomever is evaluating them, whether it's the owner, direct supervisor, if they work on a team, their team can evaluate them, they can evaluate themselves. So all of the information gets plugged in here, and then when you evaluate them, you can go over very specific examples of how they do or don't exhibit the core values that are central to your company. So let me stop sharing really quick. I know that is the super fast version of this exercise that usually it takes me an hour or 2 to go through with a client, especially if going forward and evaluating all of their employees and deciding what they're going to do with this information. Because if somebody's struggling, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad employee. They might be struggling for a reason. And so again, this gives you a very objective basis for reaching out to them and saying, what can I do to help you perform better in these areas? Because it's a non-negotiable that these things are important to the company and they're important to being employed. But again, maybe they don't have all of the information. Maybe they need more training. Maybe they're really struggling with something and they haven't made themselves vulnerable enough to share that with you. So this is part of the discovery process of managing effectively your employees. If you need extra help with that, I'm here. Hope that this is helpful, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.